My boyfriend and I have too much sex, and I can't handle it anymore. How do I explain to him that it exhausts me, and how do I negotiate new intimacy with him? My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years now. He is my first relationship, and even my first kiss. We met during university during activities, became friends, and then started dating. He's so polite and kind, and also really sweet and smart as well. We can talk about our common interests and hobbies for hours on end. Since I was a virgin in the relationship and he was not, we took it slow and only had sex when I was ready, which was about 8 months after we became a couple. After that, we had sex about once every week or 2 weeks, depending on if we found the time during our studies and if we were exhausted. Sometimes during exam time we had it once a month or every 5 weeks. But slowly, he started to initiate more and more. At first I didn't mind and loved the attention he was giving me. I felt attractive and beautiful, which helped my body image issues a lot. Soon it turned into him asking for it every single day, sometimes twice a day during weekends, or if we have a slow day with little work and studies. A month ago, we went on a vacation together, and he basically jumped on me as soon as we got into our hotel room. We barely got to do anything as he wanted to have sex 2, if not 3 times a day. I came back so exhausted from the vacation. I even started saying no to him eating me out, or roleplay, or switching in position, just to get it over with sooner. At this point, sex does nothing for me anymore. The mere action and physical stimulation feels enjoyable, yes, but just sex without anything else just isn't worth the time or effort for me. I need a story and emotion with it, lots of dirty talk, and role-playing some hot situations. I know that takes time and effort to prepare, but it gets me going wildly. But even if I could have that every day, I wouldn't want it. It's literally physically too exhausting. Also, I feel like too much sex kinda destroys the magic. I know that he takes a lot emotionally and sexually out of sex. It's making him feel loved and desired, and I don't want to take it from him. But I actually caught myself not doing any makeup anymore and not wearing tight or short clothing, but baggy ones instead, to maybe deter him from wanting sex so much. In the comments, Mystic Pisa says, "You need to say no to him, and then deal with whatever comes up together. Stop running away from what you imagine he might feel. Unloved, rejected, sad, angry, and face it together. If he believes he needs sex to feel connected to you, he needs to learn to use his words. He's not going to learn that if you keep avoiding a conversation about how you don't feel able to say no to him." And OP replies, "I'm still new to navigating romantic relationships, and I don't want to reject him. He always respects me, and I never felt like he did anything without my consent. It's just that this consent seems to exhaust me a lot. I definitely plan on having an honest discussion with him, but I'm also aware that I could profit from helping with navigating a negotiation of intimacy. I thought about proposing a schedule thing, combining having sex with date nights, while also creating date nights with no expectation of sex." Charismatic Tick 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 replies, "There is nothing to negotiate. He can initiate all the time, but you don't have to say yes. No one wants to be the gatekeeper of sex all the time. No one wants to feel like they are being poured at constantly. They need to talk about their ideals for intimacy in a mature way and go from there." Anana Lynn says, "If you're too scared to say no to sex, then you're not ready for sex. Likewise, if you're not prepared to hear a no, then you're not ready for sex. If you think your partner would react poorly to a no, then that's a huge problem. If you aren't able to say no when you don't want sex, that is also a huge problem. One or both of you need to work on this. You don't owe him sex. Being in a relationship doesn't mean you have to have sex with him all the time. Stand up for yourself. Tell him no. Sit down with him and tell him all that you just wrote. If you don't want to have sex, say it." Yeah, pretty much on board with that one. He's slowly been easing you into much more sex than you're comfortable with. And if you are to continue a relationship with him, you have to set boundaries that you are willing to maintain with him. It's okay to have boundaries around sex. If it is physically and mentally exhausting you and making you not enjoy that physical intimacy with him, then that is a problem. And everything in a relationship should be a two-way street. If it's not working out for you, you need to talk to him, and he needs to respect that and find a healthy compromise that works for the both of you. If he just takes and takes and takes and then doesn't listen to you and doesn't respect trying to work on a solution that works for you both, then he's not someone to stay in a relationship with. And now, on to the update. So I spent a lot of time reading through everyone's replies and looking inwards about how I feel. I gathered my thoughts and spent a few days making a list of what I wanted to say when we have the big conversation. On a weekend when we had planned to spend the day together, I sat him down and told him the following points. I love him to the moon and back and want to show him that I love him, make him feel desired, loved, and appreciated, but having so much sex with such frequency is physically exhausting to me, which causes me to avoid sex and even sex acts that I enjoy because I don't have enough energy and motivation to do it. This also causes me to orgasm not as often anymore. I also need time to physically recover before it may even start to become painful. I feel like sex has become the single defining aspect of our relationship, and many other parts like doing activities together, romantic dates, just talking and cuddling have taken a back seat. I also feel exhausted emotionally and underappreciated from giving as much as I can, which I gladly do for the people I love, while little comes back from the other side of the relationship. I then proceeded to explain the things I like during sex and what makes me go wild, hoping to show him that I still want to have sex with him. I also made a few more compliments just to keep the vibe positive, and because I meant it. He reacted pretty well, all things considered. He listened and let me finish, but asked for a little time to think about it. Obviously, I gladly agreed. We spent the rest of the day together without him initiating once. At the end of the day, he said that he wants me to enjoy sex just as much as he does, and that he loves me. I was really hopeful for the next week and a half. We spent our time together like usual, and he asked for sex about one half as often as before our talk. We even had days without sex at all. He also started to ask, "Do you want to have sex with me?" instead of physically initiating like he did before, like touching me somewhere, hugging me from behind, and similar things. He also stopped asking for pictures of me, and when he did it, it was just selfies. I was so happy that I even took the initiative once, and he seemingly loved it when I asked for sex. Then one day, he sat me down with a stern look and said that he hated what this relationship has turned into. To him, it feels like we are now just roommates or platonic friends instead of lovers. He told me that the one time I initiated after, he was overjoyed to finally bang me again. His heart was broken because I suddenly wasn't as submissive as usual. I asked to be eaten out and was on top with some more dominant dirty talk, and that all of that is not what he signed up for. He doesn't want to walk on eggshells waiting for when I'm finally in the mood, but have what he deserves in the relationship. Basically, he gave me an ultimatum. Either we return to how it was before the talk, starting right now, or he leaves me. Guess who doesn't have a boyfriend anymore? I spent the last few days bawling my eyes out and eating lots of ice cream and watching some shitty shows. What he said hurt me a lot, and I do not love him anymore, but still, the feeling of loss and sadness is all too real. He was my first relationship, and for the past 2 years, he was my entire world. Now I have to gather up the broken shards that he left behind. I have an update if you want more information. I have a pretty high libido as well, and I love good, sensual sex, and I want it quite often as I can go multiple times a week. But it was so often that we basically didn't do anything else besides it, and he was emotionally checked out when the possibility of sex wasn't on the table. It was so much that I was physically uncomfortable, not to mention his really bad behavior once I told him I wanted a break sometimes. I had difficulties saying no, because I wanted to make him feel loved that way, until I realized he just wants to take everything he wants from me without giving any emotional connection, romance, or care for me as a person. I hate that people throw around this sexual incompatibility argument, because if he said that he wanted someone he can bang at least 2 times a day any way he likes, and I can't and don't want to do that, that would be one thing. But he shouted at me, demanded we do it how he likes, and that I apologize for ruining everything by voicing my concerns for my well-being. He also said that he deserves to just take everything he wants from me. So please keep that in mind when you do your judgment. Yes, we are not together anymore. I cut him off after his scary tantrum. Yeah, he's a bit of a psycho, that one, and, he just eventually took more and more and more. Seems like he has a bit of a sex or porn addiction, absolutely. And I'm glad that his mask slipped within a week and a half, and you're able to get out of there, OP. Go find someone that's actually compatible with you, that doesn't just use your body. Because yeah, it sounds like he was just completely emotionally checked out of that relationship. If he withheld it from you when he's not getting what he wants, that's not a relationship. You're just a bangmaid at that point. Ew. Our next post is by user As10, titled, "Am I the asshole for telling my aunt to manage her own kid at a family event?" So I want to start by saying that I absolutely love my baby cousin Lily. She's one of my favorite people in the world, and I see her as more of a little sister than a cousin. But during a recent family gathering, things got a little tense, and I'm left wondering if I handled the situation poorly. I'm 24 female and part of a large joint family with grandparents, aunts, uncles, and plenty of cousins. Since I work in another state, I only see everyone during holidays or special events. Being the oldest of my generation, I've always been close to my younger cousins, especially Lily, who's just 4 years old. We have a 2-decade age gap, but I adore her and babysit her whenever I can. She is very attached to me and even sees my mum as a second mother. Recently, I attended my younger brother's birthday party, a rare chance to relax and catch up with family after a stressful year. Lily was there, of course, and as the youngest cousin, she didn't have any playmates her age. Naturally, she gravitated towards me. She kept pulling me away from the table to join her games, and I happily played with her for a while. When it was time for dinner, I even fed her because she refuses to eat unless it's from her mum, my mum, or me. After making sure that she was settled, I handed her off to my grandma so I could grab a plate of food and enjoy the meal. I honestly thought that she would nap or play outside in the garden, but when I came back, I found chaos. Lily had pulled at the tablecloth, spilling several dishes and creating a huge mess. She was crying because my aunt, her mother, had started scolding her, and the whole scene had become a disaster. Later, my aunt came up to me and in a very pointed tone said that I should have kept an eye on Lily. She implied that the mess was my fault, essentially blaming me for not watching her. I was so shocked that I didn't know how to respond at first, but then I told her as calmly as I could that Lily is not my responsibility. She is her mother, and it's ultimately her job to look after her. My aunt stormed off after that, and now my family group chats and calls are blowing up. My mum and grandparents are getting complaints about how disrespectful I was for speaking to my aunt that way. I didn't mean to cause any drama, but I genuinely feel like I did nothing wrong. I love Lily, and always try to help out when I can, but I was hoping to enjoy this one event without being on babysitting duty the entire time. So now I'm wondering, am I the asshole for standing up for myself, or should I have handled things differently? In the comments, BlueGreen1956 says, "Not the asshole. Tell us your aunt is a bitch without telling us your aunt is a bitch." Cherry12 says, "I agree. Your aunt is being unreasonable and trying to pass off her parenting duties onto you. You were there to enjoy the family event, not babysit. It's not your fault Lily caused a mess, and your aunt should take responsibility for her own child, not the asshole." Spody Probe says, "Not the asshole. You're 100% correct. Lily is not your responsibility. You handled it perfectly reasonably. Her mother is under no illusion that she can blame you for her poor parenting. For anyone saying that you should be looking after Lily, tell them that at the next gathering, you are delegating that responsibility to them. At the gathering, remind the person and everyone else that they volunteered to watch Lily. OP replies, I wish I could say that in my group chats without everyone aiming for my head. Right now, there are mostly neutral responses. A few say that I need to just apologize for my rude tone and to smooth things over. My mum and grandparents are on my side completely. My aunt is my mum's cousin, but they were brought up like sisters, so my mum is also getting messages from her. All I'm gonna say is, I've never been so motivated to go back to work. Shadow for Summer says, do not apologize to anyone. This will give them the idea that they were right and you should have been watching her daughter. Not the asshole. I would also decline any invitations in the future where they will be attending. Maybe they can latch onto another family babysitter. OP says, my mum also told me not to apologize to my aunt, but I don't want to start a family war by saying that I wouldn't attend any future events. I'm the oldest, as I have said, and in my culture, it comes with a shit ton of responsibilities. Don't get me wrong, I had a good childhood. I love all of my extended families, even if there are occasional hiccups, but this is the first time that my aunt, a second mum growing up, has blown up at me about anything. My mum wouldn't allow anyone to talk to me that way at all. No one. So maybe she's showing her true colors now. I sure hope not. I hope this is just stress or something. I know that it's wishful thinking, but I only come back home when I'm free from work. I don't want my safe harbor to be ruined because of this. I understand you don't want your safe harbor to be ruined because of this, but this is all about setting and enforcing boundaries, and she is currently stomping all over them. She is acting unreasonable. There's a lot of people in your immediate surrounds that obviously don't want to rock the boat, and your aunt is the one making the most noise, causing the most stress. They're going to put it on you to squash the beef. Even though you are the wronged party, a lot of people don't actually want to stand up for you because not their circus, not their monkeys. Understandably so, but at the same time, it would be reasonable and it would be the right thing to do to shut her ass down and tell her to shut the hell up. That's her kid, that's her responsibility. It doesn't matter what relationship OP has with your daughter. It's your daughter. What she did is your fault because of your lack of parenting. But nobody wants to say that. Everyone kind of wants to stick with their own problems. I understand. You're not the asshole at all. Your mum is correct in this situation. You either, directly enforce your boundaries on her and say, I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. I will keep an amicable relationship with her, but you are not to disrespect me like this again. Or you completely disconnect. It's completely up to you. And now, on to the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the advice and support. I'm back in my city now, and things have finally calmed down after what felt like an endless family drama. I start work tomorrow, so I thought I'd share an update on how everything unfolded. As I mentioned, my aunt had been calling and leaving messages non-stop after the incident. My mum, who is absolutely my superhero, told me to stand my ground and not give in to the pressure. She even stepped in to handle things herself. On Sunday, she went to my aunt's house and, according to my cousin Carl, tore her a new one. Apparently, my mum didn't hold back. She called out my aunt's behavior, her deadbeat husband, and her overly controlling parenting style. It turns out, my aunt has been clashing with pretty much everyone in the family, collecting grudges like Pokemon cards. I hadn't realized how bad things had gotten since I've been away for work. Here's some context I learned later. Lily had a few health scares as a baby, which led my aunt to become a full-blown helicopter mom. She barely lets Lily out of the house unless it's to visit our family. Even her preschool is run by my uncle, aunt's brother, and my aunt pulls her out of school whenever she feels like it. According to Carl, Lily is lucky to have some freedom when she stays at our house, which explains why she is so attached to me and my mum. While my mum was handling my aunt, I had a beach day with my brother. It was just the two of us, and he had the best time eating ice cream and building sandcastles. It felt nostalgic, like revisiting our childhood memories of living by the coast. It also made up for not celebrating his birthday properly due to all the chaos. Monday was a relaxed day at home with my cousins. My grandma even brought Lily over so I could say goodbye before heading back. Getting her out of my aunt's house was apparently a battle in itself, but I'm so grateful that I got to spend a few hours with her. She is such a joy, and I will miss her terribly. Now, for the funny bit. Carl called me shortly after I posted my original story. His exact words? "Breaking out of prison, are we? Right behind you, sis." He's been cracking jokes about the whole situation ever since, which has definitely lightened the mood. As for my aunt, she's still trying to stir up drama, but most of the family is on my side. Once the truth came out, it became clear that her accusations about me neglecting Lily were ridiculous. Everyone knows how much I adore Lily, and I've always been there for her when I could. After reading all the comments and advice, I've decided not to apologize. I would have considered it just to keep the peace, but she's blown this so far out of proportion that it's not worth it. My mum has told her to stop acting like a child and quit spamming the family group chats. Her words, not mine. At this point, I'm putting the drama behind me. Almost everyone in the family has reassured me that I did nothing wrong, so I'm moving forward with a clear conscience. Thank you again to everyone who helped me see this situation clearly. I truly appreciate it. In the comments, Yak Actual says, "Good for you, and glad to see a parental figure have their kids back for once." And OP says, "Thank you. My mum is truly the most badass person I know. I'm so grateful she's always there to support me. It means everything to have someone like her in my corner." Key Advance says, "I had a friend who used to foist her kid on me all the time. She was attached to me, but honestly, I got tired of taking care of her kid all the time. I even began to pretend that I wasn't home to avoid her and her kid. I feel bad for the kid, but I didn't want to end up being unpaid help every single day." People often throw around "it takes a village" when they do that, and I've taken to saying, "I don't remember moving to that particular village." Being part of any community means respecting those in it enough to not abuse their good natures. It sounds like your former friend was not an ideal village neighbor, so to speak. I feel bad for the kid too, and all kids whose parents foist them off as often as possible. I wish we could help every time. All we can do is encourage people to be selective about procreating because parenthood is hard. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!